Welcome everybody to a campsite cooking session with our Eat Local crew. Usually this time of year we'd be enjoying doing some cooking demos across the UK at many of the clubs, events, shows, camping shows. Today I'm in a campsite, which actually, to be fair, is much better for me. I'm much more at home being in a field, being in a campsite, cooking away. We are lucky to be in Winchcombe, which is a site in Gloucester. It's absolutely rammed full, so I'm delighted to see everybody back after the weird summer that we've had. So I'm happy as Larry. I'm going to be cooking some lamb. I'm going to make mustard lamb with some creamy lentils. It's really, really easy, and that's what campsite cooking is all about. It's also about a little bit of chaos. So usually we go to these lovely sites across the UK and we make these beautifully edited camping cooking videos. We're doing this one live, so I've got 4 cameras in front of me. I'm not allowed to make a mistake. If I do make a mistake, we're going to roll with it. And so I'm going to keep my mouth clean and the cooking on point. So first of all, I'm going to heat up my pan. I've got a Caravanning here with a paella pan. These are really, really useful. I know people tend to cook their breakfasts in these. These are use all for everything type pan. Paella, obviously, but I'm going to cook my lamb in here and then take it out and put the lentils in, and then the lentils will pick up all the juices. So it's handy for that kind of thing. So get that on. They've got handy little windows as well, so you can check. Put a little bit of oil in, not too much. This is the point at which you find out you're on a little bit of a slant, and then the oil just shoots down one end. So I'm just going to very quickly, before that heats up too much, just give that a wipe around. There we go. And into that I'm going to put 2 crushed garlic cloves. Now, I often get my mallet out whilst cooking because it's great for tenderising meat and in theory good for crushing garlic cloves. Now keep the skin on, because these cloves are going to go into the oil and just start flavouring it up. Very handy cooking implement. I always think campsite cooking is not an exact science in any way, so you kind of reappropriate everyday objects for your cooking. So sometimes when I've needed to roll something out, you can use a wine bottle or a beer bottle and then drink it. So, you know, make a few uses out of each item. So that's done. Just give that a little bit of a stir around and start the garlic flavours coming out. Don't worry, it's got the skin on, we'll pick that out in a bit. To prepare the lamb, I've got a couple of lamb leg steaks here, and I'm going to season with salt and pepper and then put a little bit of mustard powder onto that. Oh, the sun's coming out. It's lovely. It's about 5 o'clock. Perfect time to be outside cooking. I've got my glass of wine, sadly, which I have to use in this recipe, but this is the perfect thing about campsite cooking. You're much more relaxed. You haven't got all the hustle and bustle of being in your kitchen at home. You can watch, I'm being very nosy, watching lots of people go by, walking their dogs, that kind of thing. And that's why it's so nice, campsite cooking. So, although as part of the club we like to suggest you go out and use local pubs or use local cafes and restaurants, another big push for us is that people engage with a bit of cooking outside their unit or at their pitch, because that's all part of the fun of going camping anyway. So I've got a little bit of mustard powder here, and I'm going to rub that into the leg steaks and then turn it over and do the same thing. Whoops. Shake a little bit more on. That just coats it and gives it some flavour. There we go. And then this, about medium heat. Oh, perfect sizzle. I'm going to put the leg steaks in there and give my hands a bit of a wash. So in total about 6 minutes, because I still want it to keep quite pink inside. And then we'll move on. We'll take it out, wrap it in foil, and then put the lentils in. Right, in usual circumstances in this recipe, now that I've got my lamb leg steaks in, I put purple sprouting broccoli or sort of tender stem broccoli just to add my veg to the dish. So I lost my broccoli somehow on the way to our campsite today. So we're going to be using invisible broccoli or pretend broccoli in the form of spinach. So Pretend it's broccoli, go with it for me. I prefer broccoli kind of roasted or actually pan fried. What you would do is you'd put your broccoli in here whilst the lamb steaks are cooking. Once the lamb legs are cooked, you take them out, leave the broccoli in, and then you put your lentils in. So for the purposes of this recipe, this is broccoli. So we can all pretend, and usually this kind of chaos does happen on my live cooking demo, so this is kind of appropriate. So the non-broccoli goes in, and I'm probably ready to turn those leg steaks nice and sealed. That's it. Smells amazing. Right, so that lamb's cooked perfectly. So I'm going to take it out and wrap it in some foil to keep it warm, because the lentils don't actually take that long to cook. You just need to warm them through. So keep the garlic in and the broccoli. Wrap this up, keep it warm. There we go. And now I've got a tin of lentils which I've just drained and rinsed through. Pop those in the pan. And then give that a mix around. You want it to kind of soak up all that sort of garlicky oil and the lamb juices. Season that. Now you could sort of get creative. You could put spices in here if you wanted to. I make this a mustardy, creamy lamb kind of dish. So I'm going to snip in some spring onions before I mix in a big dollop of Dijon mustard. Now, another top tip for campsite cooking is your scissors. So I use these for anything small to chop, like my spring onions or herbs. Don't make life difficult. And often when people are camping in a tent, you can just sit with a chopping board on your lap. That's what I used to. And rather than chopping everything and it all falling off your lap, you can just use your scissors. There we go. You just want those to wilt down slightly. Smelling very nice already. Now into that I'm going to take some parsley. Snip some parsley in as well. Now a lot of our campsites, club sites, or CS, even CSs, have their own little herb patches, or I've been to a few. I certainly know Crowborough does, as well as one of my ones I went to just before lockdown, and they've got a lovely help yourself herb patch, which is a lovely idea. I've also seen lots of people who, when they're sort of travelling for a long time, they buy those little pots of herbs in the supermarket, and then when they pitch up, they then put their herbs outside like a little garden pot. I really like that. It looks like someone's really making themselves at home. So I've got some parsley in there, and then, cheers, I'd say about 100 to 50 mils of wine, red wine or whatever you have left. Oops. And give that a little mix through. I'm going to turn that up. I want it to bubble. So we just want that wine to flavour everything and then reduce slightly. So we're just going to let that bubble for a little while and go and find the rest of the bottle. So that wine's really cooked into those lentils now and picked up all the garlic juice and all the lamb juice. Absolutely delicious. I'm going to put a teaspoon of Dijon mustard in. If you like it hot, go for English mustard and give it a good mix around. In fact, I might just put a little bit more in. Give it a good mix around. I'm going to turn that off as well. And now the time is to hunt the garlic. So I can see the garlic paper there. And pick the garlic out. Discard that, because that might be a bit of a shock. One massive clove of garlic. Oh, there's the other one. There we go. And that is nearly ready. Now to make it the creamy mustard lentil lamb, I'm actually putting some natural yogurt in here, creme fraiche or double cream, obviously, if you're not watching the waistline, but I have to say lockdown inspired me to do a lot of cooking and a lot of eating. So I've just got some natural yogurt there. Give it all a good mix around and then serve it up on my plate. It smells absolutely delicious, and Matt, who's doing our camera today, said he loves lamb with mustard, so I think I know who's going to get this plate. There you go. Obviously pulse is very good for you too. So there we go. We've got a lovely simple camping meal all cooked in one pan. We've got mustard lamb with creamy mustard lentils and some fake broccoli, but obviously we've got our spinach. So there you go, enjoy.